time together, I'm going to introduce it a little bit because today is Earth Day. And so we are going to, so, it's a kind of a day to celebrate our love for the earth and also to connect with the healing teachings of the earth. And so we'll settle into that and settle into our refuges as well, knowing that the refuge of the Buddha, our internal refuge. One way we can understand that is the refuge of our true nature, which is, it's no coincidence that we use the word nature to talk about outer nature and inner nature. It's in my nature, it's in your nature, it's second nature. So our inner refuge is, in a way, our true nature. And the teachings of the Dharma, which we can take refuge in, and the teachings of this path can connect us with our true nature. And this Sangha, of course, supports us in that. And when we think about Sangha in this context of nature, we can really include a very broad sense of Sangha or community. The earth that we're a part of, the air, breath that supports us in every breath, the element of water which flows through all of creation, the element of fire which keeps us warm and feeds the plants, which then feeds our body. And so these teachings point to our inseparability from outer nature. And we often recognize, of course, the Sangha of Treaty 6 as well, and Indigenous peoples have had this teachings for 10,000 or more years here in this part of the world. Recognizing our community in Treaty 6 with the traditional peoples of the Cree and the Saulteaux, the Nakota and the Dakota, and the Métis as well. I'm remembering Jim Satie, one of my teachers, whenever I would hang out with him or when we had opportunity to be together in nature, one of the things he would say to me was that these trees here are all our friends, and we share with these trees. And it took me a while to really get that on an embodied way. But what he was saying partly was that, of course, we share our breath with the trees. We're exchanging breath all the time. And so we're not separate. And the Buddhist tradition, of course, has many teachings like this that point to our inseparability as one of the teachings of nature. And the one of the suttas, the foundational suttas of the Buddha, the Satipatthana Sutta, he invites us to be mindful of the body and the breath internally and externally. And this is what we do every Wednesday, really, that we're here. We settle into the body and the breath. But tonight, we're going to do it in a way that the Buddha invited us to do it internally and externally. One of the meanings of this is that we settle into our body here internally, the sensations, and then externally is the sense of how is everybody else in the community doing in their body, their heart, their mind, being aware of people in our community. And the other way of understanding this is that we can be settled internally with our own body and then externally with the body of nature. And this points to our connection with nature, can help us to steady our system and also glimpse into our sense of connection. So I have a poem from Li Po to start our meditation with. It's called Zazen on Ching-t'ing Mountain. He says, the birds have vanished down the sky. Now the last cloud drains away. We sit together, the mountain and me, until only the mountain remains. And so let's settle into our body, the mountain, sensing the weight of it on the chair. Sensing a sense of heaviness on the chair. Sensing the places of contact, feet on the floor, hips on the chair, back against the chair. This is the earth element in our body, the sense of contact, the sense of solidity, the sense of solidity between the chair and the body, the sense of contact there, the sense of heaviness, sensing the gravitational pull on this earth body sitting on the chair. And sensing the hands and how they're contacting, what they're contacting, sense of connection and contact there. Letting the body settle. Letting the attention settle into the body. And sensing the weight of the body, the heaviness on the chair. Resting into that, letting the chair support you. Support this earth body. We can bring Thich Nhat Hanh's reminders in on the in-breath, whispering in the back of our mind, mountain. And on the exhale, solid, steady. Mountain, steady. At the end of the exhale, you can notice, just be curious about what happens at the end of the exhale. Is there a pause there? Or perhaps the in-breath starts right away. If there's a pause there, how does the body feel there in that pause? And then we can notice the breath rising. This breath in, breath rising all by itself. Expanding this earth body. This breath that comes into the body. And then the exhale, the breath leaving the body. Sensing the breath moving this earth body, rising and falling. This mysterious breath that breathes us and breathes the whole world. We don't need to work hard or do anything. We can just let ourselves rest back. This mysterious breath connecting us with all other living creatures, all plants, animals, the planet itself. Trees and green creatures all over the planet, taking a big inhale during the day, the daytime hours, and then exhaling in the nighttime, all around the planet. A planetary inhale, a planetary exhale. Just resting back in the steadiness of the body, receiving the movement of this breath. Earth and air. Resting back, just letting the breath breathe. The mind will move away to thinking, and that's all part of nature also. The mind will come back also. And then just direct the attention to this body, this breath, this earth, this air. Internal, external, no separation. Hello, everybody, again. Let's bring all our names into the circle. Andrea, would you like to do that?
Sure thing. We have about 9 people on Facebook, including Elise, Virginia, Yarnell, Myrtle, Paulette, Bernie, Cynthia, Michelle, and Bridget, I think. And then we've got about 40 some people here on Zoom, including Bonnie and Brent, Carol, Catherine, Sherry, Cheryl, Deb, 3 Dianes, Dolores, Donna, Doug, Esther and William, Francis, Heather, Jeff, Joyce, Karen and Keen, Kim, Lori, Leanne, Margaret, Mars, Marilyn, Marina, Myra and another Myra, Neil and Susan, Ozin, Rachel, Renee and Heather, Robbie and Cecilia, Robert and Carol, Sandra, Shamarika, Sheila, and Teresa Marie. So it's
Hello.
Lovely to have everyone here.
Hello, everybody. It's beautiful to see everyone's faces. It's lovely. Thank you all for your presence tonight. And so some of the gifts of course, nature are gifts that we all know. And so it's nice to come together and celebrate that a little bit. This gift, first of all, of steadiness and balance that the elements can bring us. And we know this just from when we do settle, when we do sit with the body and the breath, there can be a settling. When we're outside in those elements, there can be a settling. And so this is one of the teachings or one of the gifts. And then, of course, another gift is this gift of connecting us to what we might call our true nature, to what we might call, this sense of being connected with something greater than ourselves. This sense of that we're not alone in this experience. And that might be in joy or in sorrow. I had a friend who said, I don't think I would ever have been able to make it had I not been able to go outside. And she was in a hard time, and nature was just her ally and her friend. And this is a teaching that we all do know. So I actually wonder if we can do a little bit of, I know that the folks on Facebook can't do all of this practice, but if people would just feel into a time. In fact, I'll tell the story of the rose apple tree experience, the rose apple tree story of the Buddha. When the Buddha was in a very, very difficult time, near death really, after having spent 6 years of very hard effort striving and trying to find the way to understanding this true nature, to understanding peace and liberation. He was near death, and he had a memory of a time in his childhood when he felt a sense of ease and peace and connection in nature. And so just right now, think of that time for you, or a time where you felt that ease and peace and connection in nature. And just feel into what it feels like. Maybe it's right now. Maybe you're sitting in the sun and enjoying that, or maybe you're looking out the window and enjoying what you're seeing. Or maybe it's a memory of a walk you had earlier today, or a time years ago by the lake. I'm looking and seeing Andrea by Anglin Lake and Bob and Carol in the middle of the lake. And just remembering those times by the lake, by the ocean. And of course, the people on Facebook can do this as well. Just sense that time and sense what it feels like in your body. The Buddha, see if you can have just a sense of just what that sense feels like in your body. And then you can also check in, see what it feels like in the heart and also in the mind. What's happening in the heart and the mind? And so the Buddha, after this rose apple tree experience, he was under an apple tree, under a rose apple tree. And this is the memory he had of himself as a child underneath this rose apple tree. And he just had this sense of connection with things, that moment of ease, that moment of sense of a connection with even the earthworms in the field, he said he felt connected with, and a sense of compassion for them. And in the midst of the difficulty that he was experiencing, he realized, oh, it doesn't have to be this hard. That ease, I can rest in that happiness of that ease. I can rest there and let that nourish my system and support and strengthen the system. And that can support the mind, the conditions in the mind and heart for awakening, for release in the mind and the heart from struggle. And so we can, and ever after that, sometimes he would say, my practice is abiding in that ease. And so he would call that ease up and abide there. Remembering, just simply remembering the memory, and then remembering what it felt like in the body and the mind and the heart. And this is a powerful practice that we can actually bring this in the beginning of any meditation period. We can remember that memory. Remember and let the body memory open the body or relax the body. Touch the heart, touch the mind. And then what unfolds from there in our meditation will unfold with a different kind of holding, a different kind of relationship. And this kind of ease in the mind, every one of us will have a different flavor for it, a different way of describing it. But we can touch into it in the middle of joyful times, and that can help us be more fully present for the joy. And we can also touch into it in the midst of difficult times. And I want to acknowledge that right now there might be some difficulty for folks here on the call. Some of us may feel anxious or worried in the midst of this ongoing situation of uncertainty with COVID. Just as I'm speaking now, as I'm acknowledging this, let yourself sense into your body the earth element here in the body, the settledness, the steadiness in the body, just as I acknowledge that some of us may hold or be experiencing some difficulty. Some folks may have a little cabin fever by now if you're staying at home. Anybody have a little cabin fever? Few cabin fevers out there. How do we work with that? One of the things we can do is bring this quality of refreshment into the mind or steadiness into the mind by being still in nature. We're so lucky to be able to still do that, but we don't have to even go outside. We can just call it into the mind by remembering. Some of us may be experiencing exhaustion. Some people said to me who are working this week, who have shared that they're in the healthcare field, there may be tiredness, there may be anxiety. Seeing if you can, in the midst of, even as I bring that in, settle into the body and let the body help us hold it, help you hold it. Maybe some anxiousness in the heart about our loved ones who are working in community in the community work or healthcare fields or essential workers, folks on this call who are in those areas that we feel a lot of care for. Just letting yourself feel that care within this solid body, within this steady body. And then there may be some folks who may have some sorrow. Many of us are experiencing sorrow right now in the midst or in the wake of the 22 deaths in Nova Scotia. There may be some sorrow about that. And see if we can hold that in the midst of this steady body, this steadiness in the heart. And so this is a practice that can be an ally in all times. I'm going to read a poem here it's called The Peace of Wild Things. By Wendell Berry. Let me just read an excerpt of this. When despair grows, and when despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water. I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world, and I'm free. I come into the presence of still water, the peace of wild things. And so we can let nature hold us in those difficult times. One of the ways we do it is simply by coming into or remembering or calling up or letting ourselves be in contact with this experience of connecting with our inner nature, our outer nature, and our inseparability. Thich Nhat Hanh has a love letter that he wrote, a love letter to the earth in 2015. He says, "Dear Mother," calling the Earth, Mother Earth, "Dear Mother, wherever there is soil, water, rock, or air, you are there, nourishing me and giving me life. You are present in every cell of my body. My physical body is your physical body, and just as the sun and the stars are present in you, they are also present in me. You are not outside of me, and I am not outside of you. Dear Mother, my deep wish is to wake up to the miracle of life. I promise to train myself to be present for my life, for myself, and for you in every moment. I know that my true presence is the best gift I can offer you, to you, the one that I love." And so we can touch into this love that we have for the earth. And just by coming back to this memory that we have of that time in earth, or in time in connection with nature, and what it brings to us, and the gratitude and love that it can catalyze or connect us to in our hearts. And so I want to ask us just to bring that memory in again, that memory of that time in nature, and feel into your body. Just feel in, what is that? Might be, for me, I have a few memories that I go to, kind of go-to memories that are older. One is of me. I remember being in a hammock. I've shared this a lot, but being in a hammock by the ocean, and I just still, even as I bring that in, I can feel the visceral sense of my body swaying, the visceral sense of relaxation, the visceral sense of nowhere to go, nothing to do, feeling so supported. and a joy rose. Lately this week, when I was having a hard time, I walked out the front door and I was lucky, there's some trees here, and I just let myself walk around and just feel the not cognitively, just sensing into that sense. And there was a sense of easing and a sense of release and a sense of relaxing. So I will want to invite us into a little YouTube or a little Zoom experiment. And so this part our Facebook friends can't do, but our Facebook friends can still continue to abide and enjoy abiding in their memory of nature. And I wonder if you can help me, Andrea. I'd like to just have a little connection together, since we're talking about connection and nature, have a little connection together in small groups to share just what that experience, your memory is, and just one or two words. So it could be walking by the river and I felt some ease. And so I'm going to ask Andrea to experiment. We're going to have a little experiment and split into groups. So Andrea, if you could split us into 8 groups. No, I would say groups of 3 or 4. So that'd be, say, 11 groups. Yeah, let's do that. And so Andrea's going to put us in groups, and you're going to be in a little group. There's going to be a little sign, a little window come up, and it'll say join a breakout group. And you just click on there and join the breakout group. And we'll just have about 4 minutes. So not long, even just enough to share your name, maybe where you're from, and what your memory is, and one or two words to describe it. What does it feel like? What are your words there? And if you happen to be in a pair, a partnership on your screen, it's okay, you can both share. You just have a couple more people in your group. And so, ready, Andrea? And then at the end, you'll see a little note will come up in your Facebook, in your breakout group, and it'll say, so many seconds till the end. Just let that, you'll know, that's just letting you know how many seconds are left to go. And then, so just stay in your group. Don't come back to the main group, because after those seconds are done, then those breakout groups will end and you'll just come back here automatically. Okay? How does that feel for folks? Is that all right? Thumbs up. Okay, and you can keep your little window blank or black. You don't have to have your camera on if you don't have a camera. Your name will still be there, and you'll still be able to hear people. All right, enjoy, and we'll see you back here in 4 minutes. Hello, everybody. Good to see you back here. Oh, hi, there's Sherry. I can see Sherry now. Great. So now let's just do one more little experiment with our chat box, since it worked so well last week. Oh, Brett saying thank you to Andrea. Yeah, thank you to did it work well? How did that go for people? Yeah, was it good to connect that way? It was a bit of a surprise. Sorry I didn't warn you earlier, but that went okay? Okay, great. I'm going to take a look on page 2 just to make sure. How was that for everybody over here? Let me know with your thumb. Sideways and down's okay. Might have been awkward. All right. So let's use the little chat box this time again, and just think of one word that describes your experience in nature. And we're going to make a collective true nature portrait here. So one word, and then type it in the chat box. And people who are 2 on a screen, you get 2 words. And then as they come in, I'm going to give everybody a chance to write first so that you can then fully hear, fully take in the collective portrait once everyone has written their word. And hello again to our Facebook friends. We're so glad that you're still here with us. And the Facebook folks can also write a word, and Andrea will read your word. We'll just give this a moment or two so that everyone has a chance to get their word in, and so that then we can really rest back and receive the gift of these words, the gift from everyone's heart to our heart. And as we're waiting for folks just to put their words in, you can rest into mountain, into your mountain, into your mountain body, with a kind of a renewed appreciation for it. Okay. So I'm going to start reading. And so we've got settled. You just let yourself receive these. This is actually naming and calling out your own true nature. This is you that we're calling out. Andrea, are there any Facebook words that you want to start with?
Not yet.
Okay. So, settled, belonging, liminal, vitality, held, merging, calming, soothing, calmed, magic, interconnected, soothing, free, seen, blissful, equilibrium, fully alive, nurtured, settling in, tranquil, joy, peace, mind clearing, peaceful, connected, uplifting, joy, spaciousness, joy, unity, peaceful, connected, joyous, peace, at ease, supported, complete. And we got one more word. This is a lovely word to end on, enough. So just taking a deep breath and letting yourself rest in that. We can have some time now for anyone that wants to speak into the circle, share anything, share any sense just of any reflections on this, or any sense of how it is for you right now, a sense of how this supports you in your life, or anything that you want to share, any difficulties that are happening right now, and how this can support you. So everything is welcome.